friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. It is Tuesday, April 5th. I triple checked it. Trust me, it's Tuesday, April 5th, 2022. I think I've gotten it wrong 2 out of 3 times. Oh my gosh. Yeah, nobody ever told me being a senior was going to be like this. I'm also Batman. Yeah, my grandkids have a tough time believing that I'm the real Batman, but I can tell you right now, that guy who plays Batman in those movies and TV shows, he wouldn't even stand a chance. You know, Jan Michael Vincent in a movie was asked one time, "Now you're gonna fight fair, aren't you?" Jan Michael Vincent just said, "Hey, there ain't but one kind of fight." That's me. There ain't but one kind of fight. So the Batman on those movies and TV shows, they wouldn't even have a chance. They fight politically correct. There's not too much politically correct about me, as you already know. Anyway, here's kind of the status right now of the world's finest mandolin ever built by a human as my goal. And yeah, you know, this is the new brown that I got out of that new bottle because half my old bottle expired after 25 years. So, yeah, I'm sorry. And by the way, this only looks about 1/3 as good as it will look, because when you put the finish over it, it pops. So it's real dull looking right now, and that's okay. It won't be that way long. It'll actually look really nice. I'm just debating on whether I'm done or whether I really want to change the look of that a little bit more. You know, some people say you're covering up the grain. Well, you can see the grain all the way out into the brown. You know, I mean, it's not covered up at all. So, yeah, you may have a personal preference that you'd prefer to see it blonde. I have a personal preference that I don't. I get real bored with the blonde look after a while. I actually get bored with it. I mean, I think it looks great at one point in time. But at some point in time, I get like, yeah, I'm tired of that. I like something that has some interest to it and some look to it. And this will have that when we're done, I hope. I'm still hoping at this point. There's nothing assured at this point. Well, anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today is the birthday, I think, or at least I hope, of that acoustic bass hanging up right there. I believe it's ready to put back together today. I mean, I think the finish is dry enough that I can finish it up. So here we go. The first place I'm starting is back here on this back, and the reason I am is because there were 2 little hairline cracks that I have filled with super glue. I did not, or CA glue, whichever you prefer to call it. Anyway, I did not cleat these because they were just hairlines and they weren't a big deal. I just let the glue get down in them and they should be fine. Glue, as always, has to make a mess, so I'm trying to clean that up here. Okay, so that's the 400. I'll move up to maybe some 600 or something like that here in a minute. And after the 600 there, which I think is probably enough, I think that looks pretty good. Might see one little tiny spot, little spot here, and a little spot there, little spots, you know. Now I think I can go to the steel wool, which is the, I think, triple lot steel wool, and hopefully make the finish more or less match what it did. I hope. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm good with that. If anything, it's actually a little shinier than the rest of it. But you know, you can only do what you can do. I'm not a finish expert and never will be one. Never going to claim to be one. I just do what I do. Okay, on this front up here where we have put a lot of finish, I guess I'll maybe just go through the same process to try to make it as good as I can. And I'll sand that with 400 first to try to level it out. As you can see, there's spots here that are not level. That's the CA glue. And that stuff's really hard and really hard to sand out. I like to remind everybody I didn't create the problem, I'm trying to fix it. You know? Because people, the way they make comments occasionally makes it sound like you caused the problem. I didn't cause nothing. You know, I'm just trying to fix it. And as I've said many times, there's a million ways to do everything. You're just seeing how I did it. There's the 400. Maybe a little bit more out here on the edge, because it was busted out here too, I remember. And I think I might have sanded through a little bit of the finish right there. That's kind of sad, but stuff happens. CA glue is so hard. It's really hard to sand it and get it looking good. And I'll take the 600 now and go back over this. If they would make this kind of sandpaper in all the different grades, you'd never need any other kind of sandpaper, trust me. I'm gonna try the steel wool now and see what we can do with that and see if we can make it look okay again. You know, I know the fact that I sprayed a different kind of finish over this, you know, that right away, you're not going to make it perfect. There's nothing you can do to make it perfect. I don't expect it to be perfect. I expect it to be playable and usable. That doesn't look too bad. There's a spot right there, it looks like where maybe the finish came off a little bit. I'm going to maybe touch up these couple little spots later, but I'll do that off camera. And the last one to do is this long side one. I'll show you, well actually that side and this side. So I'll do those off camera and I'll show you the results here. I feel like I've done about all the sanding and buffing that I can with the steel wool. So here's my Renaissance wax. I get that off of eBay or I think even Amazon. Just Renaissance wax is what it's called. Very good wax. Very hard to get off, just like any paste wax. And actually, I shouldn't say it that way. Renaissance wax is probably the easiest paste wax to get off. But all paste waxes are harder than liquid polishes. I never, and I repeat never, use liquid polishes. And you might say, why? Well, the reason is they damage plastic, for one thing. The chemicals in them really eat up plastic. That's why pick guards curl up. So I never use liquid polishes on instruments. I only use paste waxes. Paste waxes are much harder, but they do a much better job too, and they also protect better. And in some cases, you will actually hear a better sound out of your instrument. You really will. It crisps up the finish. Especially old finishes that are dirty and stuff. You clean them up, you put this paste wax on them, I almost guarantee you'll hear an improvement in sound. That was just yet another case where I had a guy actually cry on his dad's D35 Martin guitar when I cleaned it. That's really all I did to it, was clean it and paste wax it, and he started crying. He couldn't believe how good it sounded. Now, I will admit, I also pulled about a coffee can full of cat hair out of the inside of it, and I'm not exaggerating on that. I'm talking one of those smaller coffee cans, you know, not the 1 pound can or the big can, the next size down. Had it completely full of cat hair, and I'm not exaggerating. Yeah. That probably had a little effect on the sound, and it did, of course. You know, I don't want the wax to change the look of his satin finish. I'm just trying to crisp up the finish that I made on here. In this case, the wax is also, or at least I think it's helping to make it look better and kind of hide some of the blemishes. There's also some kind of a blemish right in this area here, and I'm pretty sure it's from somebody's arm. You know, I had mentioned that this was supposedly a brand new instrument. Well, apparently it wasn't, because you can see fret wear and things like that, fretboard wear and stuff. It's in very, very, very good shape, or it was before the break. But anyway, it's not brand new. I can tell that from a number of places on the instrument. So anyway, I think I am going to go ahead and wax this whole top before I get the strings on it here. I think it'll make it look a little bit better. This kind of wax, you don't want to wax too big an area before you take it off. And you don't want to leave it on really a long time either. And you want to keep your rag turning. If you don't keep your rag turning, you're not taking the wax off. Like right here's a case where I can definitely see wear marks from somebody playing it. That's going to have to do. You know, I'm pretty tickled with the way this thing turned out. You know, it could have always turned out better. Anything you do can. But I'm pretty happy with this. You know, there's the bad side there. That's the bad side. That's the one that was busted into pieces. That doesn't look that bad to me. The top was broke pretty good, and unfortunately the top is probably the worst looking part repair on there, but that was because it broke laterally under there, and it really was hard to match up. And then this other side was the real long crack. It went all the way from the waist all the way to the back. But anyway, it feels completely 100% solid. I don't think that there will be any issues with playing it. So I'm going to get her strung up. As I'm stringing this bass up, I started noticing a lot of play in these tuning keys, and I noticed that all of the ferrules are very loose. You should not torque these down. In other words, you shouldn't just crank on them. You know, but they should be at least good and snug. In other words, you come up to about where they stop and maybe just another eighth of a turn past that. They should not be so loose that the tuning keys themselves are flopping around. Right there's snug and just a little bit more. And you can kind of feel that. Like this one here is so loose I can turn it by hand, and then I'll feel it snug up about right there, and then just a little bit more. That's all you need. Right there's, well, that one's pretty ambiguous there. It's hard to tell where that one's snugged up, but right about there, and then there we go. So that ought to do it. I don't have the end panel on it yet. I'm kind of thinking I might go ahead and get it up to tension without the end panel on it, and the reason being I might want to look inside there to see if I see anything moving. You know, I don't know. I think that's probably a good idea under the circumstances. These strings, if you remember, I had a little trouble getting them out of there. Well, they're about the same way going back in. There's like a little channel that they're designed to go into, I think, but they have to hit it exactly right to go in there, and then you just kind of got to push them in. Trying to get them right dead center of the channel and everything, because there's got to be a lot of torque on these. Well, I'll show you the next step here in just a minute. Well, if I was being nitpicky, and I guess I am, this nut
looks like to me the strings are shifted to the treble side just a tiny bit. If you look at the bass there, there's quite a bit of room on the bass side. Now that may be because you're playing and you don't want it to slide off. I don't know. I'm not going to change it, but it does look a little bit more space on this side than on the other side to me. But that may be for a reason. I'm not a bass expert by any stretch. In fact, I rarely ever work on these acoustic guitar basses. So, all right, so the strings are on it. They're not up to pitch. I'm going to tune it the standard way that we would tune it in bluegrass country, which is basically opposite of a mandolin, which is the same as an upright bass. You know, so it's E on the top string. That looks right to me, and I didn't hear any unusual sounds or popping or pulling or anything. Yes, the bridge does look like it's still got little corners loose, but I don't think that bridge was ever going to be tighter than that, or at least not this bridge on this guitar. It's got a pretty good bow in this top, and based on what I can see, that bridge is about as flat as a pancake. So, you know, I don't think that's going to work. And I don't think this bow is accident. I'm pretty sure you can see that's bowed into it on the inside with all the bracing and stuff. So, you know, I got to be honest, guys, I don't know. I'm not an expert in this model guitar. You might be if this is something you're into. I'm not. But I am going to look on the inside here and make sure I don't see anything that looks like it's done something it shouldn't. Well, as far as I can tell, it looks wonderful. I'm going to reach in and grab each brace and move it around and see if I can feel anything. Feels really solid. I think it's 1000% fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with this bass now at this point. Well, my friends, Batman is going to return to his bat cave. And by the way, that's how you know you're a real Batman, because you have to have your own bat cave, and I do, right down the valley there. I discovered it. In fact, I dug it out. I saw a sinkhole and a spring, and I said, there's a cave right there. So I went and got my Bobcat, dug it out. Sure enough, there's a cave right there. It goes back in at least 60 feet or so. And got a big spring coming out of it. Anyway, my point is, I am the real Batman. Only the real Batman could fix something like this. And if you're disappointed because you didn't hear it, you'll have to tune in tomorrow, because I'm planning to take this with me to the restaurant tonight up at Dickey's Barbecue in Rolla, Missouri, where the band's going to be playing tonight. And I'm going to let someone that knows how to play one of these things play it. And hopefully we're going to record some video, and you'll see that tomorrow. And if you would, how about a thumbs up? Because I think this deserves a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow with some live footage, I hope.